the new or maybe the old idea of France, and that forms our conversation for this hour. We're going to be looking at ties that maybe still bind here on the continent, and we're going to be looking in depth into issues around the current Africa Forward conference or summit that's happening, resetting continental ties, bringing the continent together, and somebody external coming to tie that up for us. We're having that conversation this morning on resetting these ties with Professor Macharia Munene, who is a political historian, and he joins us this morning. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning to you.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Good to have you in the room today.
Atamina shukuru.
Shukuru sana. It's interesting because we're talking to a political historian, and at the same time, we're looking at a present day situation playing out that has a lot of roots in history in terms of what happened on this African continent. Many may see it as forward-thinking geopolitical business, but others may see it as extending the hand of colonialism. We're going to talk about all of those things today, and of course, we're feeding into the Africa Forward Summit hosted by the French. And if we're just going to look into some pictures that we see then coming from the middle of the city this morning, 30 plus African heads of state were invited to this, and we'll see some of them, not all of them. Some of them had arrived by Sunday, Monday, and that there's going to be this meeting at the KICC today, and we can see that some of those folks are coming, arriving at the KICC. The president of France, Emmanuel Macron, of course, hosted by His Excellency President William Ruto, basically essentially selling France again to the African continent and bringing the leaders today, whereby there were meetings yesterday with youth leaders, with cultural participants and practitioners, whether it was around cuisine, culture, food, whatever the case may be. So those meetings were had yesterday. Today is probably when we look a little bit more about policy, because now the nations of the continent will be there. So those are pictures, live pictures coming in from the KICC, where those meetings are bound to start today. And those deliberations are going to take place today. And then that brings us to the end of this summit by the end of today. And in terms of what's going to happen there, even as that is going on and we continue to look at those pictures, Professor Munene, our proverbs this morning are from Eswatini and the Kingdom of Eswatini. And I'd love to get your interpretation of that even as we go along and continue to look into those pictures of those arrivals here. And so the Eswatini say that if you... Oh, sorry, I'm just going to find that in a minute. If a man, or rather a person who says it cannot be done should not interrupt the man doing it. A person who says a thing cannot be done should not interrupt a man doing it.
There's no room for pessimism. If something has to be done, step out of the way.
Yes.
So that whoever can do it can do it. Essentially, people who discourage action should not be entertained.
Yes.
Because they're just useless people.
People who discourage action. Right. Okay. Well, so let's get into this conversation today. Of course, we can see the red carpet being rolled out for quite a number of leaders who are coming into Kenya from across the continent. We know, for example, that presidents Côte d'Ivoire, Nigeria, from the west and coming in from the south, South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, some of those countries who've been invited. It's interesting that some of the countries in the Sahel and Francophone West Africa may not be attending this Africa Forward Summit. And it's no surprise that this is a French a pivot. What are your thoughts, first of all, when it comes to this particular summit and what it has in store for the continent?
One, it's good that there is such a meeting taking place in Nairobi. Gives some publicity to Nairobi, if nothing else, and gives a chance to some presidents in Africa to meet outside Addis Ababa. And have time
it's been their meeting point.
Yes, there's a meeting point. And it's interesting that many of them were invited, at least 30 might have indicated willingness.
Yeah.
But it appears from a list I saw There may be coming about 10 or 12.
Yeah. Not yet 15, yes.
Not 15. And in one of the countries that's come, if what I read is correct, 2 people are representing the same country. And that's Morocco. You have the King of Morocco and the Prime Minister.
And the Prime Minister. Indeed.
There's something odd about it. But it also says something. Because Morocco and the French are very close in many ways. And,
even geographically.
Geographically. And even trying to sabotage some of the AU positions. They are very close in that regard. Among the countries not showing up, of course, South Africa.
Yes.
Algeria. It's interesting. Of course, where there is Morocco, Algeria has a problem.
Will not be.
At least Egypt is supposed to come. And but then our neighbors don't seem to be very enthusiastic, which is something in itself.
They're having some ceremony.
They're
a bit busy.
They're busy swearing.
They are swearing.
Which is a bigger thing.
Yeah, it's a bigger thing. 40th year.
Yeah, there was some challenge in terms of coordination in that regard. But in general, it's a good thing for Nairobi in terms of publicity. It's also a good thing for Macron as a person. This is something that's giving him mileage that he may not get some other place. He's a man who is struggling to be accepted as a leader in Europe and in the world. So what better way to show that he's accepted outside Europe than to have a meeting in Nairobi, which is not to be fair, was not part of the French colonial system.
True.
Which is that's the plus in itself. It's also a good thing for William Ruto. William Ruto is an interesting man. He craves for validation and acceptance as the leader of the Africans. Now, this meeting gives him a chance to look as the leader of the Africans, because others are supposed to be listening to him and what he does. So it's something that is supposed to benefit both Macron and Ruto.
Yeah.
And for Kenya, it's good publicity, if nothing else.
It's interesting because you speak about the benefit to these two gentlemen. And so then what that would do is that it speaks highly to the political positions that they both take. Of course, we look at the wave of nationalism that hit many parts of Western Europe, France not being left behind, Germany experienced the same thing, Spain, Portugal, across board said, okay, it's time that we were inward looking. Even though we've come from the 2000s when we were, pockets of countries whereby we had to work together for certain things, then now making yourself a place, a state whereby your national outlook then had to reflect on the global stage. Now, taking all of that into consideration, the position that France held in West Africa in terms of popularity has waned significantly. Maybe that's a very diplomatic way of putting it, but essentially, 8 West African countries kicked France out of their existence. Emmanuel Macron insinuated or gave rise to that in his speech yesterday, where he acknowledged that they've lost popularity on the African continent and said, you know what? Here's an opportunity, basically, for us to get it back. So, is this summit about France or is it about Africa?
Well, it's mainly about France.
Okay.
In Africa. But it's a French thing and it's a Macron thing. But then Macron and Ruto appear to synchronize very well. Remember the time that Ruto was in France some times ago, and they seem to get along with Macron as if they are buddies.
Yes.
And even there was that episode where, for some peculiar reason, Ruto was able to address a rally in Paris. How do you organize a rally in Paris if you don't, unless it is government? It was Macron's way of winning Ruto over. As somebody I think he identified very early. Yes. As somebody he can work with. Yes. To promote French interest, the way he sees it. So there is convergence of interest between the two men. And since they control their particular countries, at this time, they can harmonize
Right.
And for mutual benefit. Whether the countries gain or not is another matter. But from what we are reading, somehow Nairobi rail system is supposed to improve. And if it happens, fair enough. But people are used to hearing so many promises, which some have a problem becoming true, becoming realized. But Macron is on a mission, and he's not the first Frenchman to do that.
No.
To try and make the French look as if they are big power. Right now in Europe, the Europeans are confused, mainly because they used to depend on the United States, and the US is no longer dependable. So who then can come out and look as if he can lead the French and the Europeans is Macron. And then outside Europe, how do you prove that you are acceptable? Well, go to Africa and have a meeting, and there will be the whole publicity about it. So, as you alluded to the New Right movement, which has been sweeping the West.
Yes.
Donald Trump is an example of that. And then you had this fellow who lost in Hungary, Victor somebody, who lost. But then if you saw the elections in England within the last week, the New Right is on the rise.
Yes, it is.
And that in itself says something. And in France itself, Marine Le Pen might join the wave. Actually, she came very close. So there is that fear. And what you have with the New Right is rethinking of going back to the days before World War II, when perceptions of nationalism and anti-foreign racism was normal. And if you see some of these New Right people, they are outright racists. And they are gaining momentum. The reason they are gaining momentum is because of fear in Western world that they have been losing.
Yes.
And whether they like it or not, they have been losing. So the question is, why have they been losing? And they say, oh, we've been losing because there are too many foreigners who come to our country and become citizens. But apply what might be called the Peter principle. You penetrate, integrate, and take over. So, and you can see, in England, so there was an Indian who became prime minister.
Yes. For a while, but okay.
Yes.
There's a mayor in Washington.
And an Ugandan is mayor of New York.
New York.
Yes. New York. I'm done.
And London has an Indian as well.
Yes.
So Donald Trump is the one who comes out very well, showing that there's something wrong with this. So how do you stop this? You stop migration. And you Donald Trump's main beef, and the reason he became president, is to campaign against Obama, and saying that this Kenyan came from nowhere and became president. So stop migration, you know. And if they can, they would like to change the constitution, remove the 14th Amendment. That if you are born in the U.S., you are a U.S. citizen. Say, no, that should not be the case.
Right.
Your parents should also be citizens. So as to stop an Obama phenomenon in future. If you look at Canada, they've got in cabinet people who are maybe Indian, some other. And the foreign minister for Britain today is from the Caribbean, ideally, initially. He looks like a Kenyan from somewhere. But that in itself is creating a lot of fear. And so we have this reaction. How do you stop this onslaught? Yes.
Prof, you're talking about Macron and the French by extension, having their footprint in Kenya and East Africa by extension, of course, the Anglophone conglomeration. Remember that in 2020, Macron was president and Uhuru Kenyatta was president here. They signed a deal and they signed some deals. One of the deals was to the construction of the Rironi Mau Summit.
Yes.
233 kilometer stretch. at a cost of between 150 billion, 150 to 200 billion. It was cancelled by President Ruto when he took over. What does it speak? What do you make of it? Because eventually we were to pay 6.2 billion shillings to avoid some litigation at the London International Court of Arbitration. Because, of course, when you cancel, these are lawful contract. You have to pay. You have to incur some cost.
Yeah.
What do you make of it? Is it that maybe the president wants to be in control, that I have to craft this thing from zero, not maybe in the mantra of governments existing for posterity and in perpetuity?
You're right, that's true. President Ruto has a problem. He has said that he is the best in everything. The best among all the presidents that Kenya has ever had. So he's number one in everything. So how does he become number one if he continues the policies for somebody else? And it doesn't matter what the cost to the country is. It was not his thing. So he cancelled it. And I don't know who advises him, but he's made a lot of blunders along the way. And so this was such a blunder. But that does not affect the personal interaction between Macron and Ruto.
Personal.
Yeah, it's personal. And then they said, now, what can we do? So let's sign something about the railroad. There are a few things here. Then the French will also look good if they can do it, and it works. Now, the unfortunate thing, I hope it doesn't happen that way, if Ruto loses the election next year. And
also Macron is leaving office next year.
Yeah, he's also having some
has
problems.
to.
Yeah, he's
and then Marie Le Pen or whoever comes in, doesn't like this was done wrong.
He's going to undo all of it.
And so these are temporary things. And it was very unfortunate that it happened, and it's likely to happen again. The attempt to look as if you are number one in everything and everybody else is useless is very dangerous for the country, because a good leader should be able to build on what others have done, improve on it, and do it much better. Not to destroy. So the impression that President Ruto has been destroying whatever is associated with Uhuru Kenyatta or Mwai Kibaki or Moi or the original Kenyatta is unfortunate in itself.
Yeah.
Because some of the problems people are seeing are real self-inflicted wounds on the part of the president. If he had built on these things, it would be a different story. But the Rironi Road is a good example of trying to get rid of what is associated with somebody else, as opposed to continuing. Just like Trump tried to get rid of anything associated with Obama, Biden,
Obamacare,
and you can see the consequences can be felt even here. You said it's collapsed.
USA,
and why? Not because it was not doing a good job. You said it was doing a very good job. We might question one or two things, but all over the world they were doing a very good job. But since they were associated with the wrong people, cancel the whole thing.
Yeah, throw it out.
Throw it out.
Whereby it was making some good gains.
Oh, yeah, they were making very good gains, but associated with the wrong people.
I want to look at some of the nation, and very rarely are things just by coincidence when we look at especially meetings like this. Of course, the long hand of colonialism, which has now been given the name neo-colonialism, playing out in the minds of a lot of people when we see something like this going on. But it comes to you in a more friendly manner, where it says Africa is the gateway, Africa is the future. Macron said something like this yesterday and said, if anybody's not looking at Africa, then they're not looking at the world. Okay, that's great. But look at the people who've come so far. He himself, Bola Tinubu from Nigeria is here. Bassirou Faye from Senegal is here. From Gabon, Guema is here. Bayo from Sierra Leone is here. Boakai from Liberia is here. Ouattara from Cote d'Ivoire. Fattah el-Sisi from Egypt. Mahama from Ghana. Antonio Guterres, Secretary of the United Nations, is here. like you says, Aziz Akunosh from Morocco is here. Ragulam from Mauritius is here. We've seen just now the leaders from Ethiopia and Rwanda, Paul Kagame, here as well. Are these strategic meetings? We know, for example, that the relationship between Rwanda and France has been under tension for the longest time, especially after 1994. Yes. Paul Kagame himself opened his mouth and said, how can we depend on you to then be able to help us grow when the time when we needed intervention the most, it never happened? Does this speak to that the presence is here? But many would argue that in the last 2 years, the most Africa forward nation has been uninvited to this summit in the name of Burkina Faso, for example, or if not uninvited, is not here to maybe talk about what really Africa forwardness really does mean. Is it just perception, or is it just coincidence, happenstance, or does it have a greater meaning from what we see?
Well, there is great perception to it. Whether or not Burkina Faso was invited, it was not likely to come because of its beef
with France.
As to Rwanda, Paul Kagame, he's in a tight corner. Yes, the French were involved in the genocide because they were said to have been training the Interahamwe.
Yes.
So they were involved in that. And so there is very big bad blood between that. And some French people have accused Kagame of actually shooting down the aeroplane and therefore starting the argument.
Yes.
But Kagame is now in the East African community. And he is part of this system. I don't know, is he now the current chairman of the community?
Of the community?
Yeah, I think if he is, then he has an obligation to support the community, if nothing else. But also the Rwandese interest can be touched on. They can discuss a few things.
It's Museveni, actually.
It's Museveni, the one who is getting sworn in.
Legitimacy is today.
At the wrong time.
Maybe he'll come in the evening.
Maybe after he's sworn in, but it will be over. The countries you mentioned, apart from Ghana, Mahama, and one or two others, they really are projections of French and European interest. You mentioned Nigeria, a big country, confused.
Completely.
They import their own oil, which is a ridiculous thing. And it's interesting that Tinubu comes after Ruto say that he speaks better English than the Nigerians. And they were not amused.
They appear to have sorted out that particular tiff.
Yes. And so actually, Ruto is very good at sorting out these kind of things. So he's now in good books with Suluhu.
Suluhu,
Yes.
They're saying he's going to build up
unbeknownst to her
in Tanga.
Yes.
But the countries that have come, many of them are usually beholden to France or to the big powers. Like Sierra Leone, it's a former British colony,
yes, it is,
but very close to Morocco.
Yeah,
because I remember attending a meeting somewhere, and when you discuss things, Morocco was not very happy about it. And then the other countries who agree with anything that Morocco does not like, and they end up by saying, we support Morocco's position. It was amusing to see that. Then Sierra Leone was one of those. So I think each country is here because of what it considers
its interest.
Its interest.
Okay. Well, let's take
how France can help.
How France can help them as individuals and not coming together as Africa, which is interesting because that seems to be the long rallying call. Come together as a continent and then see how you can grow. But that seems to be a little bit different. On a light note, perhaps we'll get Morocco and Senegal in a room and they can agree on this thing and who's going to give back the trophy. But okay, that could be a conversation that we could have later. It could be great because it would appear as though African countries are coming together and placing one idea that they would want to push forward, but that African countries are here actually for their own interests.
Yes.
Nobody's thinking, okay, that's great. Let Africa come together and see what they can do for France. No.
You see, I noticed, I don't know whether I'm wrong. I would like to be wrong. The representation of the African Union is not here.
The United Nations is.
The United Nations is,
Yeah.
but not the African Union. So you wonder why that is the case. Is it because not too long ago, President Ruto said something bad about the African Union? Kind of useless, but yeah. So
Was this before or after his candidate for the African Union chair didn't make it?
No, long after Raila was rejected. And it was recently, about a month or so ago.
Yep.
He made a statement to that effect, and you say, wait a minute, what is this talking about? And that's when they were planning this particular conference. So was it part of the takeover from the AU as an indirect way of taking over the AU and offering an alternative to the existing AU? It's kind of awkward. But the fact that the AU is not represented is itself telling that something is wrong. Guterres is here, yes, the UN, that's good. And he said something nice about
they opened the facility.
Some of the financial institutions said that, and that's and I'm sure he had a hand in Monica Juma getting a good job.
The irony is not lost on us that she, presented herself in Vienna to office just, yesterday, Monday. Yeah, that happened yesterday.
She should have been part of this opening and then go to Vienna. But maybe something happened because it would have been a good image. But somebody goofed somewhere. But if the idea in this is for the Forward Africa to replace AU as the vehicle for African interest, then we have a problem.
I don't even understand how that would work, Prof. Because if, on that point, I think I would agree with President William Ruto about the AU. For the longest time, I've said that this organization, if what it is meant to do is not is what we see here, then shut the thing down. Let's do something else with the premises in Addis. But it's not. Is it possible to have an externally funded body then oversee the affairs, the internal affairs of Africa? Because that's what we're talking about. A lot of these countries, interestingly enough, if they are the ones to take this mantle and push it forward, are part of the problem in not paying their dues. From this list that we've read today, not even paying their dues to the African Union, but somehow want some kind of camaraderie whereby you can now form this force that's going to be reckoned with. Don't have our backyard sorted out. How can we be Africa forward if the elements who are being brought have not sorted out things in the backyard?
It's a mental issue.
Okay.
Rather than mechanical. It's a thinking. Yes. Countries, either AU or even the East African community, many countries don't pay their dues. I understand that in East Africa, only Rwanda and Kenya
are up to date.
Pay regularly.
To an extent.
The others find excuses. And so the entire community is funded by the EU and some other foreigners. The same thing with the African Union. Now, if there is thinking of replacing the AU because it is incompetent, because that would be a good reason, now finding a consensus for that becomes a problem. Because if only 10 countries came to this meeting, and there are 54, what happened to the other 44? Yeah. So there is a problem. So the first thing is to raise the issue that something is wrong with the AU and its ability to project itself. At least Mahama is here, and Mahama has been doing very well in Ghana. So maybe he can spearhead this, given that he's the one who took that resolution to the UN about slavery.
Yes.
Being a grave crime against humanity, which had been vegetating for some time. Algiers, that's when the last resolution to be taken over this. And one of the unfortunate things, like if there is that intention, it sounds like Donald Trump. He wants to get out of reorganize the United Nations with his own.
Yes. With the Trump nations.
Something about peace, world peace forum. Philosophically, there is something wrong with it. Because it does not talk about fixing the problems in the the African Union or the United Nations. It's actually doing away with these things. For Donald Trump, it's very clear where he wants it, because he doesn't want anything that happened after World War II. Because it gives credit to all these other people. And I don't know whether that's the way President Ruto is thinking. That he really doesn't care about the AU, because he said it's useless anyway. And whatever may have been done, it's not fixing the AU. It's kind of doing away with it.
Does it matter who picked whom? And I ask this question because if Kenya, the Africans, picked France and said, come, let's have a conversation. Or if France is the one who sat in Paris and said, well, guys, our time is running out. We need to be relevant. We pick Africa. Does it matter? In these multilateral communications or relations, does it matter who picked who to have this conversation?
Actually, it really does not matter. As long as they have a convergence of opinion. And part of the reason I say this thing is real personal between two men who are on a mission to lift up their images, either in Europe and the world or in Africa and the world. And they have met before, and they seem to get along very well. In fact, when he was in Paris some times ago, he actually told Macron, you come and visit Kenya.
So this is the return visit.
He's been vegetating for some time. And it took time before they found a common thing that they can have a meeting on, and then bring people. And they've been working on it for some time. And this conference is very personal to Ruto as a man, and also to Macron as a boost. And the French are funding much of it. The Kenya is not funding as much, but it's provided the venue and the image. And initially it was to be called the French Africa. And then someone thought that's not a very good title.
It raises eyebrows.
Let's call it Africa Forward. The PR. And but essentially it is a coincidence of the two. Ruto wants to be recognized as the spokesman of the African continent. And so he's been invited to the G7 when South Africa was disinvited.
Maybe, Prof, that leads us to the next question. As a country, we must be looking somewhere. But our president says, we are not looking east, we are not looking west. We must be looking somewhere, because, of course, what is playing out is those are geopolitics, the economics, of course, economic power. We've seen those mighty countries really scrambling for Africa. This is actually the second scramble and partition of Africa. And the president appears to be courting almost all the superpowers. Even the distribution of the other question is the distribution of the military bases in Africa. Maybe France could be trailing the other countries. And so the two questions are intertwined. Where are we looking?
Well, President Ruto is very crafty, because he says we are looking forward. Neither this. And people in the ministry talk of something very peculiar. It's called strategic ambiguity. Meaning that they can do anything they want as long as they think it is in their interest. And being ambiguous gives them the leeway. So you don't, when he was in Washington, praised, Biden gave him some dinner. And and promised a few things. and then after some months, he was in China claiming that the Chinese and the Kenyans were reshaping the world. So that visions of grandeur, which sometimes can. So I think Ruto's statement that we look forward is a good one, because it shows some sort of independence. In fact, one may say that outside Kenya, Ruto does look good in the way he projects himself.
Okay.
We saw the other day the Japanese Minister of Foreign Affairs, whose name sounds like Kenyan, Mutegi.
Yes, Mutegi, yeah.
He gave a nice lecture about how Kenya and Japan are going to reorganize the Indo-Pacific. And of course, the French have an interest in Indo-Pacific because of all the islands they consider they control in the Indian Ocean. So someone say, no, these are also, the French should be also be part of that thing. And in terms of the defense or security arrangements, I wonder what Kenya is going to be secured by the French against who. So, and the French are in Djibouti in a big way.
Yes, they are.
And they are in the Indian Ocean.
Yes.
In a big way.
Yes.
So we know our understanding with Ethiopia, which is long lasting, was mainly against threats from Somalia. That was very clear. Our understanding with the British, and that's why they have these Batuk things was because at the time of independence, many of the East African countries suffered mutinies. And the new governments were embarrassed to have to call on the British to help them, which is what happened in Lanet. And also in Dar es Salaam, it happened. And they had to call on. It was embarrassing. Yeah. So as a result, do they have an understanding? Oh, you can be training here just in case we need you. So that has security arrangement can be understood. I understand we are also getting into agreements with Turkey, which has dreams of recreating the Ottoman Empire across all the way East Africa. And so we are getting into some understanding with Turkey about defense. And you ask, defense against what?
This is it. But this is my thing, that again, going back to the nationalist policies, everybody wants to do something. France wants to do something. The USA wants to do something. Turkey, for goodness sake, wants to do something. Japan wants to do something. And then they all come here as the one who is going to help them do their something. When are African nations going to be the ones who lead the charge and say, excuse me, we know this thing that you're telling us. We know that we have a wealth of resources, the richest continent on the planet. We know this. We know we've got billions of people strong who coalesced around a particular idea or ideal can actually move things. We know this. We also know that there's certain things that we have to do to get our ducks in a row in order to then be a force to be reckoned with. We are the ones that everybody comes to enable them achieve their goals. When will we not be asking for the crumbs under the table, but build the table? And I think this is what they killed Gaddafi for, who was actually saying, you know what, we have to get to the point whereby we are the ones who are dictating the terms. Everybody wants to do something and comes here to get the partner to help them do their thing. When will it shift? Who's supposed to take the mantle and shift this thing?
And again, it's a mental issue. I think we have a very interesting woman in charge. Is it Namibia?
Yes.
She's doing a good job there. Understand she's paid up her foreign debt. And there's not one tender nonsense. That gives her freedom to do for Namibia what Namibia needs. And become an example to other countries as to. So this myth that you have to be in perpetual debt to be in good books is terrible. And you know, aid is like addiction. So there is aid addiction the way you have drug addiction.
Yeah.
And in as much as drug peddlers don't want addicts to be cured, So the same thing with aid peddlers. They don't want the addicts
to be cured.
Because it's a holding, it's a political control.
It's a chain.
Yeah. So countries like Burkina Faso, who have told the French to get lost. And even Mahama is trying to say that let's be independent and control our resources. But it takes intellectual commitment and awareness in order to do the right thing. And if it doesn't come from the top, all those 10 or so presidents or kings who are in Nairobi, you'll count them and say how many of them do have the commitment. Then becomes a problem. And then the other 40 or so, how many of them can really be relied on? So there is need for a mental overhaul at the top in order to move forward. At one time, the Eritrean leader, Isaias Afwerki, made a comment that one of the tragedies in Africa is that they don't listen to their own people, the advisors, their own knowledge, and they have a lot of knowledge of people. They would rather call England or France or
than
Brussels.
Ethiopia.
Than
Ethiopia or Kenya.
And yet you have your own people there who are thinking properly, and you ignore them because there is the need to be acclaimed outside the country by some other people. So, and that's a part of the disease that the Africans need to cure themselves of, to deal with the question that you raise. And the addiction, dependency, need to be dealt in a very forceful way, but it may not be very nice.
Well, I mean, what with any addiction is the first thing that they do. That's where the terms cold turkey come from, that you just have to stop. This is what Ndaitwa has done in Botswana.
Yes.
In Namibia. This is what interim President Traore did in Burkina Faso, and said, just stop. That's what you do with an addict. You stop it. You don't say, oh, well, maybe from tomorrow we go. No, that's why they go through things like withdrawal. But then you are able to get to a place where you realize, okay, actually, you know what? I'm forced into a situation where I have to live without this thing, and I'm going to be forced to do better. That's what they did. We have glaring examples of it. Who would imagine that in 2026, Namibia's debt is fully paid? Traore is industry are thriving in 5 short years, that these things can actually happen. That's the panacea to these issues. So it's painful, it's laborious, but it's beneficial at the end of the day. But we seem to not want to do the hard work.
Our leaders are cowards.
Okay.
They don't want to deal with that kind of thing. And earlier you mentioned what happened to Gaddafi. Don't forget that the people you are going to be dealing with in order to be free, the peddlers,
they might even want to kill you.
They'll kill you.
Yeah.
See, they killed Gaddafi.
They did.
And what was his crime?
He wanted Africa to be free.
United Africa.
How can you have a currency that does not depend on the dollar? So the first thing is to know who you are dealing with. And when you check properly who you are dealing with, some leaders just cow and say, no, you don't want that. And so they submit. Others may not even have thought about it. Or if they have thought about it, they have thought properly and said, let's face the reality. It might come, but be ready for it. Because the problem is not to be ready for it, because the forces are not nice. Whether they are French, British, American, or whoever, they think that their interests are going to be jeopardized. They'll get rid of you. And they've done that many times. Maybe that explains why some countries, they are scared. Because they are there by mercy of somebody else, and rather than their own people. But the time will come when fear will be put aside, gradually, step by step. And by the time you have the AU in proper hands, might take some time. Mm-hmm. But if you have many of the African countries having leaders who are clear of what needs to be done, then the AU can be a proper vehicle for that. Mm-hmm. At present, it does look, mm-hmm. and they should all be able to pay their own debt, their own bills, which they don't. Mm-hmm. And because they don't pay, somebody else pays, and then they go on.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a quick one. We are looking at 250 deals.
Yes. As
France seeks to expand its influence in Africa. Are we biting more than we can chew? Because looking at it this way, Macron is leaving office next year. President William Ruto is seeking re-election next year. And from previous engagements, there's the mantra of posterity, perpetuity has actually been thrown to the winds. Are we biting more than we can chew?
As a country?
As a country, the president is inking these deals at this particular time.
But he likes putting ink somewhere on big issues. What happens thereafter is not his problem. And he says he's building a legacy. And some of the actions for the legacy might be problematic once he leaves. But he's doing it for now. What happens after that is not his problem. Mm-hmm. Now, the country is committed by that, mm-hmm. whether we like it or not, because he is the president. And whatever he commits the country to, you end up having to meet the cost. In the same way that we were talking about the Rio Road first, there was commitment by the government. And we said it is in good faith, whatever it is. And then the government changes its mind. The player is different, but it's still the government.
Indeed.
And Kenya was saddled with almost 7 billion shillings worth of debt in compensation. So these things, they do happen. And the question that people should be asking, are the people making decisions well informed about the consequences of their actions? What we have in many instances are people deciding things without thinking of the consequences. Because if they think of the consequences, they might be careful before they do some things. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Indeed. It's going to be interesting in the next couple of years what's going to happen. What legacy would have Emmanuel Macron left when he leaves office next year? Is it something that he would have started? If Marie Le Pen comes in and clears all of this, then where does it leave Africa again when it comes to the decisions that are being made? It's something for us to open our eyes to, face the realities of where we're going as a continent. Thank you very much, Professor Macharia Munene, for joining us this morning. Opening our eyes to certain things and for us to have engagement on that. Asante sana.
Shukran.
Thank you for keeping it the Situation Room this Tuesday. Ochanda, you'll get used to that, promise. We'll talk again soon. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.